How are we looking? Is this, yeah, tell me what you think. Honestly, I'm hoping that this is going to look decently cool. I'm talking old school, as though we went back in time literally 20 years. Yeah, shit. Maybe not this exact camera, but, yeah, I mean, this was it. You know, if you had the foresight to know that being a gym influencer was going to be something in the future, or if you're like a Jay Cutler and you've got to have somebody come in and record you, this is what they'd be using, right? Before all the fancy pants, you know, micro SD cards and whatever else, old tape cameras. I had one a while ago, but it just wasn't very good. So this one's a little bit cooler, I'm hoping. So as long as this lift is usable, I might throw these in every so often, get a little retro lift. But in the theme of retroness, let's kind of imagine a simpler time. Let's imagine a time before, and I had to look up what the word vaulted even meant. A time before there was an overcomplication of training, which I think does have a good place. I'm not dogging on it specifically, but you know, there's a limit. There's a limit to how complicated you can describe something before, you know, you start to sound like or you start to sound like Jimmy Neutron when he says, "Hey, Mick, you passed the salt?" And he goes, "You mean the sodium chloride?" "Hey, Mick, we could do a dumbbell curl." "Oh, you mean a brachioradialis biased by dumbbell loaded?" Come on, you know, I got a couple comments where I was talking about, you know, a chest day or something, and I was saying, yeah, for me to have an awesome lift, you know, I'm just doing good, just burning muscular damage and getting pumped up. Yeah, that might not. I'm not saying that's the exact scientific process of what's happening, but I can say with certainty, if I go nuts, am pumped, and I destroy whatever muscle I'm going at, and I give myself enough time to properly recover, plus enough food to warrant that recovery, then my next challenge, right, my next task is to come back and do it even harder the next time. And it's not only that, but it's like just this compounding, like building up a momentum of like, okay, I want to get more intense lifts. I want to get, you know, not exactly scaling volume, but, you know, increasing weights, increasing intensity, just increasing everything that's kind of within my power to in the lift, just to, you know, really freaking bring it. And if I do that, I get to leave feeling good. Not only like feeling good about knowing I'm, you know, putting myself into making solid progress, but also just physically feeling good because I know I brought it. You know, if I slacked, if I was like just, I mean, I couldn't even describe it. If I just came into the gym and just like goofed off, and it was supposed to be a real workout, like imagine I go in today, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do some legs, and instead of really bringing it, you know, I'm like, yeah, I'll just do a light set, like not even close to failure, just, no, you know, it's different if you have an injury, right? It's very different if you're kind of rehabbing something where you've got to tweak and you got to back off. But assuming that you don't have to deal with something like that, put your strong foot forward and go nuts. That's I was doing a bit of a talk, I guess kind of a while ago now, because some of these last videos were delayed from being at the expo, the Anaheim Fit Expo. But I was kind of getting into when you're in the gym, when you're actually coming to work out, you got your clothes on, you got your pre-workout right next to you, you're kind of trying to get yourself in the zone. It's test time, you know, and it's going to show if you studied or not, or if you got yourself into the right freaking headspace or not. But I guess all I'm trying to say is bring it. And that's what I'm going to try to do today with legs. Hamstrings first, quads afterward. And I'm not exactly certain what movements will go down. Probably not squats, but I'll see. Today might end up being a day for some leg extensions into leg press. You know, where leg extensions kind of act as a pre-exhauster, and I can do a leg press set without, you know, insanely heavy weight, just because I'm already pre-exhausted from those leg extensions. And it just kind of adds this wild burning effect, doing a press right after an extension, pre-exhausting. But hamstrings will be simpler enough. Laying curls, seated curls, maybe some standing single leg curls, standing on the leg extension facing backwards. But once I actually get it decided, I guess we can see what this is really gonna kind of end up scaling to look like. Because if I do a lot more, or if I plan to do a lot more leg press, like heavy, I might want to back off on hamstrings, because my hamstrings are going to come into play on those leg press sets. So instead of doing 8 sets of hamstrings, I might do 6, and then they get some residual work from that press, even though they're an indirect muscle group, if you catch what I'm saying. But now I'm just getting into freaking regular ass jargon. I think nothing else to say, but let's jump in there and get this lift started. Hard to beat a Smith RDL. The only thing I prefer more would be a cable RDL, but the only cable machine that actually works is occupied. Well, what are you gonna do? So 2 plates into 25 is very reasonable, but I really want to squeeze at the top. Like, I'm not just moving weight. Like, I want my glutes not to flex at all, my lower back to just flex enough to stay stable, and I want to feel all the force go through my hamstrings. And it's kind of a tricky feeling. It's like popping your pecs. You kind of need a certain muscular whatever, but definitely worth throwing in. And I haven't done a hip hinge for like weeks. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? All right. Okay. Ooh. Okay. One more. Yeah. Oh man. Oh, okay. Let's do a curl. I think I gotta starting with the hip flexion movements, or the hip hinging movements. Not only like to get that portion of the hamstring session done, but also it's kind of a good starter. Like with tries and back sometimes, I like starting with like a very squeezable weight and kind of holding it at the top. He's good. And that's kind of what that RDO was like. So, usually I think, let me just do this. We can talk after. But let's go, let's see what I can actually do here. Yeah, it's too heavy. One more of these. That one was actually a little too heavy. So instead of 190, let's do 150. And I'm gonna put this leg piece a touch closer to 1. I see a lot of guys, well actually not a lot, but sometimes I'll see guys where they want to put the pad all the way at their ankles, which for me I've never really gotten the gist of. Actually having it a little closer to my knees, like right where my calf inserts, it kind of just ends up feeling a little better for me. So That's a little personal preference kind of deal. Okay, come on. Okay. Oh shit. Fuck yeah, with how that's feeling. I think one more set of those and then I'm gonna do some quads. Plus some leg press will really get them finished off. It's kind of like I cooked them in the oven, and then the leg press is gonna act like a sear as a finisher. All right, lucky me, I did some assisted reps. So if there's, I don't know, maybe like 5, we'll be able to tell.
I'll help you out when you start struggling.
Yeah. All right, come on. One more. Good. Oh man.
I only got like 2 of you on there.
Dude,
How you doing?
Do I?
Is it really good?
That was a lot. I could have gone a little lighter, but
I
that felt.
helped you twice.
Yeah, that felt good. Just that little extra. 2 sets of leg extensions, and then we'll do something for real. And these are light. I'm getting warm here. All right. Holy crap, that freaking burns. One more like that. Whew. All right. One more. One stinking more. And then let's do some plate loaded standard sled leg press. A little heavier for this one. 85. Yeah. Let's do 100. Yeah, 100. 115 single leg. So that first set was very squeezing with a hold. This one's gonna be a little nastier. I'm talking kind of pumpish. something. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 plates. Seat at the lower angle, which will let me get a little bit deeper without feeling my glutes so much. You know, I don't need to do leg press, feet all the way up top, kind of, you know, getting my backside thicker. I want to feel this almost exclusively in my quads. So I don't exactly want to hit failure. I mean, I do, but then I'm going to have to take the plates off or get people to help me and like re-rack it. So I want to call it perfectly, or like I barely get the last one. So I can rack it, use the same weight again, and then repeat. Now, if it's your last set of leg press, failure all the way. I got a safety, and this thing is freaking stiff, so I don't have to worry about getting crushed, which old school leg presses definitely could benefit from. Like the leg press safety, I would not even feel comfortable doing this without it. But give me a second to get amped, and then let's go crazy. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, a few more. That's, ooh. Actually, on second thought, let's do one more and see how I feel. Slightly lighter, just as good. Oh, yeah. Oh, two more of those. Whew. Oh, goodness. So I'm kind of going a little bit on my toes here, but this feels good. And this is what I kind of refer to more so as like a pumpish set, because it's not like the weight is insane, I can barely lift it, but the fact that I'm so fatigued and pumped already, you know, later in the lift, sometimes for me, I think benefits well from some faster paced reps. Not like gross, like not like swinging the weight or like letting the stack kind of float in the air for a second. Not like that, but just quicker, faster pace, like flex, stretch, because for me, I just feel like it gets me more pumped by the end of it, if you kind of see what I'm saying. And that's what I'm aiming for. Obviously hard, heavy, burning sets, like I've kind of already done 2 of, or I guess 3 of rather, and this is more just damaging overall, if you feel me. But yeah, Sky one and only has been going wild. A little chill, but still hype. All right, come on. Holy crap, that hit me hard. One more, and then back to leg extensions. Let's go finish with some leg extensions. Maybe throw some sissy squats in too. Ooh. I'm still rebounding after Fit Expo. Let's finish with a few sets of, let's just do light squeezing, holding leg extensions into sissy squats. That combo has never done me wrong. And honestly, pump-wise, like, look, I get pumped from leg extensions, squats, everything. But sissy squats are a little extra, just because it's like a deeper stretch than I get on anything else. And I don't feel like I'm gonna explode my knees because it's only body weight, you know? So it's something where the pre-exhaust really comes into play, you know? Like, I like skull crushers, but if I go too heavy, it hurts my elbows. So if I want to do skull crushers, I'm gonna pre-exhaust with like the rope or something first, and then make more use out of lighter weight. You know, I think there's definitely a point to being able to really squeeze and just feel lighter weight rather than just mustering like, you know, your max every set. I think there's a place for that too, but in combination, right? All in equilibrium. But let's get this going. I really want these to sting. One more minimum. Oh, okay, yeah. Let's go find a freaking mirror. Whew. Okay, so that was a very good leg day. I definitely overestimated my leg pressing ability. Like actually doing the set felt cool, but when I stood up from that leg press, I could kind of feel like, ooh, a little bit of a little extra damage was done, more than I would have expected. So transitioning to some of those lighter kind of squeezing movements made a bit of sense, but let's see how we're looking quad-wise. And even before looking, I can tell that my quads are cooked just from kind of a residual tension, right? Like standing, completely relaxed. Like they're not flexing at all. I just feel like I've got two hunks of something like just on the front of my thighs, which is what I want, right? That's what I'm pretty much freaking aiming for. But let's see here. So, yeah, in terms of just like standing width, yeah, it's solid. So this is where I'm getting extra excited to diet down in the coming months, because it makes your legs, honestly, probably, if not double in coolness, at least 50% bigger, purely because, I mean, look at me now, like ratio of like front to butt versus like front of quad to back of hamstring. That ratio will get much closer, typical guy fat distribution. Some legs, honestly, relative to everything else, my legs stay decently lean. Like I've got more fat around lower stomach, sides, back, and it kind of just spreads more like, yeah, I think I got it classic. Stomach, sides, butt. Usually my arms and legs stay a bit leaner. That's pretty classic for a dude, right? But what I'm excited for is once I peel down and start getting extra lean, what's gonna happen is this midsection area, my kind of just, I don't know what you'd measure that as, not waist, but like kind of front of thigh to like thickest part of your butt, that'll shrink in too. And relatively, my legs won't suck so much in size. So they'll look extra big because they're only as big as they are in relation to the rest of my body, right? Like let's say I had serious, just massive stomach, my legs would look way smaller because in proportion to my midsection, right, they'd take up less space. So it's kind of this like feng shui of making sure everything sort of runs into each other properly. And if you get a good look at yourself, you know, either pumped, unpumped, whatever, you can probably start to see what needs work, right? Let's say your upper body is just freaking brolic, lacking little in the lower body. Gee, man, that might be your cue. And chill out on everything up here and just do a while of like, you know, squats, leg press, everything else. But that's kind of up to the individual, you know. I mean, shit, some guys do not give a shit about having big legs. And if that's you, I mean, you know, whatever, beef up your upper body. But for me, I kind of want everything to be good in relation. You know, I'm talking tied in and out, just everything in balance, you know. But nothing else to say. Let's get our butts out of here, go eat something. I'm freaking starving. The zoom on this thing is freaking sweet, too. I know you've been skipping cardio. All right, sweet. I was limping out of there today, which is good for me. That's a feeling I want to have. And I think I kind of played into that post-lift soreness from kind of delayed expo fatigue, but that's still kind of a good eye-opener that's how I want to leave a leg day. All right, so that's my cue that even if I come into my next lift fresher, I just got to go even harder to give myself that same sort of damaging feeling. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely trying to up my pressing game just because I think it's a different sensation in kind of loading than a leg extension. I mean, which is kind of obvious, but you know, It's like only doing light squeezing rope extensions versus, some heavier pushdowns. It just makes sense to do both, And I've definitely been on a bit of a leg extension kick over my, basically all-time working out. Kind of just because it clicks. The leg extension is sick. Really squeeze hard, burn, crazy pumped. And in terms of like muscle maintenance in my diets, it's, there isn't really anything that's more directly quad biased than a leg extension. But I think in my off seasons I've been missing out on some pressing, which is what I've been trying to implement this time. And I am just getting more and more excited to get shredded come later basically the end of this year, which is kind of just a like a grass is greener on the other side kind of thought process, which I'm totally cool with. It's actually a bit of a motivator for me to be able to go back and forth between bulk and cut and keep getting bigger and just more developed over time every loop, because every time I diet, by the end of it, I'm so sick of dieting, and like I've got my fill of being extra lean for that period of time that I'm like, oh shit, it's time to eat. And then I get to kick off a bulk. It's it's like I've got 2 trampolines on both sides. It's like you're at Sky Zone. It's got like 3 trampolines as like a long section, and then 2 of the wall trampolines. So when I'm bulking, that's me bouncing. Oh, I'm sick of bulking. All right, time to diet. I hit the wall trampoline and bounce back. Then I'm dieting. Ooh, all right. I've had my fill. I've seen myself shredded for long enough. I'm ready to get some more size on. And just that sort of loop is very good for me, I think, because it also, I'd probably say it keeps me a little bit grounded body dysmorphia wise. That's it's pretty classic for, I'll get DMs all the time, I definitely scan my requests, and it's, dude, I don't want to get soft. I don't want to put on any body fat. I want to bulk up, but I don't want to, I don't want to lose my abs. I don't want to lose my veins. I don't want to lose my freaking aesthetics, which I definitely can understand the idea of. Nobody wants to be just fat for no reason, in the sense of, if you're lean, to be, to put even just a few percentage points of body fat on, it can be, pretty noticeable for sure. I've definitely had some good back and forths of bulked and cut, but it's kind of just, you got to look at what it's all for. In an off season, I'm worried about having really solid lifts, feeling full, going hard, really maximizing my recovery to just make sure I'm actually making use of the time of an off season when I'm trying to grow. And then when I'm dieting, the lifts overall workload decreases. There's no need to go as heavy, there's no need to do as much volume. I'm just trying to maintain my size and most of my strength while I get leaner. And that's when the calorie limiting and the cardio, that kind of takes the forefront of the most important aspect of that period. And what really gets me hyped up is the fact that there's different kinds of progress in either states. When I'm bulking up, heavier weights, just physically being larger, way more pumped, I feel like my skin's gonna split, at least if it's a really good one. That's what I want. The fact that I'm gonna get a little bit softer does not bother me, because it's kind of just the course of things. And then when I'm dieting, yeah, man, there's no curl in the 80s. There's no, benching a ton of crazy ass weight or squat. That kind of, takes a little bit of the back burner. And what's more important is just, extra consistent cardio. And by extra consistent, I really just kind of mean more cardio, calorie tracking, really kind of sticking with it. Because if I can't actually limit my calories for that long, guess what? I'm not going to get lean. It just won't happen. So all of that kind of comes into play as, the harder part of the dieting. But the positive, which gets me amped, is, oh shit, I haven't seen that vein for a while. Holy crap, I have not seen that cut or that striation or that whatever. And the only reason that those are there is because of the off seasons before, where I actually kind of packed on size and really progressed, even though you can't really see it happening. you know? So it's like, I guess I don't know an exact reference, but, you know, it's like planting a tree. It's like actually really planting anything is kind of a good reference, because as soon as you plant it, shit, nothing happens. And then you got to keep kind of, you know, in the sense, grinding to, you know, make sure that it's working. You give it some water, you make sure it's, you know, in a decent environment, whatever. And then nothing happens for months. And before you know it, once it, shit, things are just going to kind of sprout out. And that sprout, for me, is kind of when I get to diet down and see what got built up underneath. You know, so that's what, that's always a bit exciting. Because it's like I'm just building excitement for whatever's next. Because at the end of this bulk, I'm ready to chill out on the food. I'm ready to get lean. I'm ready to feel light on my feet and a bit more spry. That's going to make me hyped up come dieting time. And then, by the end of the next diet, I'm going to say, oh man, it's going to feel good to lift a ton of weight and just feel like I've got a crazy amount of energy. You know, so it's just always this back and forth. And I see some guys that love staying, you know, a little bit more on the bulk side, big and strong. They don't want to have to worry about limiting their calories. Go for it, right? And then I see some dudes where they're trying to stay lean all year round. That's the look that they like. They don't want. And if that's really what you want to do, then you're good, you know. But make sure that you're on a certain track where in a year from now, you're not going to wish you did something different. You know, if come the end of this year, you're like, all right, I want to bulk. I think I want to be serious about it this time. I actually want to pack on some size. I want to do it. Ooh, but I don't want to deal with eating that much food, to deal with tracking everything, to get a little bit softer. Then I'm going to have to diet down later. You're not going to remember the I don't wants, right? You're not going to remember the, oh, it would have been hard. You're going to remember, shit, I should have bulked. Ugh. You know, so it's kind of a situation where inaction is definitely the wrong decision. And how I look at it, especially with the, you know, bulking up and cutting down, kind of being a back and forth sort of situation, there is no wrong move. You know, if you're like, ah, do I bulk or do I cut? Shit, man. Whichever one you do, you're going to do the other one next. So, I mean, I really don't think there's a wrong way to go about it. And that's a little more for, like, once you've lifted for a while. I don't think there's much need for, like, a massive, crazy bulk instantly, you know, unless you've really got a hard time getting, like, any food down. For the most part, gaining for a while, like a year, 2 years, whatever, as long as you're progressing, solid. But once that gaining progress starts to slow down, that's when I think what I'd kind of call just caloric intervention, right? Really trying to lock into something diet-wise is going to be, you know, it's going to be able to push you over that threshold into new territory, new size, new cuts, new whatever. Because, you know, if you leave yourself essentially unchecked, you're going to eat as much food as you're hungry for. If you're a guy who really chows down, you've got a lot of whatever the, you know, enzyme or hormone in your stomach that makes you hungrier, you're going to chow, right? You're going to get some food in your system. It's just going to happen, right? Even if it's just little snacks throughout the day, those calories are going to add up. And if you're a guy who just naturally kind of has a little bit of a lighter appetite, or whatever you do kind of adds up to you just not really eating a ton of food, then you're not going to, you know, you're going to end up eating whatever that number is and stay leaner for longer. So you've got to kind of look at your own situation and think, okay, I'm the kind of guy who has trouble getting a lot of food in. I need to put more emphasis into an off season or just a weight gaining phase if I want to progress, if I want to get any more size, at least any substantial size. And if you're a guy who knows that limiting your calories is a real chore, then you got to lock in a little bit harder there. For me, I think I'm kind of at a sweet spot where I don't have a ton of problems eating a lot more food, and I don't have a ton of problems limiting my calories either. I think I'm kind of relatively centered like that, which is kind of good for me. So that means to go back and forth from bulk to cut isn't like, you know, an insane, drastic, like lifestyle change almost. But that's where there's a little bit luck involved. If you're a guy who has no problem eating and you love being just big and bulk and huge, good for you, right? Perfect. Your stats lined up. And if you're a guy who does not, you know, eat 3,500 calories a day just because he was, that felt like a normal amount of food, and you like being leaner and lighter and just a little more just cut up, then good for you. But if it's vice versa, if it's the opposite, then you're going to have to lock in a little bit harder. But as hard as, a dieting phase or a bulking phase is, if you're leaning one side or the other, the opposite will be extra easy. As hard as a diet is for somebody who's got a big appetite, the bulk will be that much easier. And as hard as a bulk is for someone who's got a real light appetite, for him to get lean again will feel like a sweet relief. Finally don't have to eat so much freaking food, So that's where I think it's just something you're going to have to see for yourself and kind of apply and act accordingly. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to get home, eat something, get ready for bed, and make sure I rest up, because I have got chest tomorrow. So that'll definitely be, well, I guess there's no point talking about it now. I guess we'll just see what happens then. Let's all see for chest.